Digivation Network.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Digivation Network. On today's show, the guests of the week are two cybersecurity experts sharing their insight on policies and safety tips to stay safe in the cyberspace and how safe we are in using emerging technologies from governments to organizations and also individuals. We also have more lined up for you, but first are the happenings in the tech ecosystem this week. This is Digivation Network with Bayo Ragabi. I am your host, Omoye Ihaza. The gathering which took place at the Sheraton Hotel Lagos brought together the players in Nigeria's IoT ecosystem to forge a common ground for regulators and stakeholders in developing the ecosystem. The first book, titled Datafication of Society to Foster the Internet Economy, forward was written by the Secretary General of International Telecommunication Union, Mr. Huli Zaho, with insight to create an internet economy for development that is sustainable rather than transient. The second book, titled Cybersecurity Initiative for Securing a Country, with forward written by President of International Federation of Information Processing, Professor Mike Hinchen from the University of Limerick, Ireland, discusses the importance of cybersecurity in protecting data and infrastructure to secure the digital economy.
You know, the whole point of being able to support the infrastructure requires experience and understanding that very few people have to that extent. And the Honourable Minister is to be commended on having such a great grasp and understanding of the issues and putting it together in this very snappy, if you might.
The Minister of Information and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, unveiled two of his books at the Stakeholders Consultative Forum on Emerging Technologies. According to Pantami, the fourth revolution with virtual worlds for emerging technology requires digital development, creating the need for regulation and enabling the center to grow in Nigeria. And IoT plays a great role in this regard.
As we all know that IoT, Internet of Things, is part of the fourth industrial revolution, being driven by emerging technologies. Emerging technologies are many. Internet of Things is one of them. Artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum computing, cloud computing, autonomous vehicle, augmented reality, virtual reality, fifth generation, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and many more.
Speaking at the event, the executive chairman of the Nigerian Communication Commission, Professor Umar Garba Dambata, spoke about sensitizing emerging technology, Internet of Things, and the use of 5G and data transfer without human intervention.
We are conducting this event consistent with that plan in order to drive home the message of the Strategic Vision Plan 2, amongst others, to sensitize Nigerians about the benefits of emerging technologies, two of which are 5G and the Internet of Things.
The EVC emphasized that the 5G will create new dimension of things and there is need to regulate and keep the face of information with provided services needed for the emerging world. At the book launch, the control executive for Intel for West Africa, Rita Ndidi, among others, gave her goodwill message and congratulated Pantami for a job well done, stating that the book will impart lives of the future generation.
I think thinking to look at someone who is as busy as the minister, to sit down, have time to write a book. And not just a book, but a book that will impact on the nation, impact on the future, and impact on the children in general. And from the bottom of my heart, I say congratulations to him.
Those who unveiled the books are Honorable Minister of the Nigerian Communication Commission, Professor Dan Bata, MD of Galaxy Backbone Limited, representative of Facebook, representative of Microsoft, tech giant operators, and other powerful people in tech. The Economic Community of West African State has declared a ban on Twitter in Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari unlawful. According to the Deputy Director of Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Kolawole Oluwadare, during this court section ordered the Nigerian government led by Buhari not to repeat such action. Nigeria declared the use of Twitter illegal and threatened to arrest and persecute anyone using Twitter after the ban on July 2021 when President Buhari's tweet was deleted. The court ordered the Buhari administration to take necessary steps to align its policies and other measures to give effect to the rights, freedoms, and to guarantee a non-repetition of the unlawful ban on Twitter. The Buhari administration bears the cost of the proceedings and directed the Deputy Chief Registrar to assess the cost accordingly. The court also emphasized freedom of expression as a fundamental human right, and the full enjoyment of the right is centered to achieving individual freedom and to developing democracy. With the latest decision, the court declares the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria illegal and hope that the head of state and government of the member state of the Economic Community of West African State will henceforth respect and uphold the human rights of community of freedom of expression guaranteed by the Article 9 of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. "200 youth have received equipment grants from MTN's Foundation Information and Communication Technology and Business Skills Training. The training is expected to give 200 youth a new vision and strategy to navigate the business startup space. MTN Foundation particularly provided equipment grants worth 40 million naira to the 200 young entrepreneurs following a 4-week training on ICT and business skills. The entrepreneurs were awarded their grant on May 27 at a closing ceremony held virtually. Speaking during the training, one of the winners of the grant, Abigail Obaro, spoke on the impact of the training and its benefit for her business growth, while she thanked partners, including the MTN Foundation, for investing their time and support. The 5th phase of MTN Foundation ICT and Business Skill Training Program was in partnership with Google, Microsoft, and Meta. The training was designed for 3,000 young entrepreneurs between the age of 18 to 35 across 6 Nigerian states: Lagos, Cross River, Anambra, Kogi, Jigawa, and Adamawa. Twitter has filed a suit against Elon Musk in the Delaware Court of Chancery after the billionaire tried to terminate his deal to buy the company. Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, has agreed to buy the social media company for about $44 billion in April, saying he wanted to promote free speech on the site and defeat the spam bot. But less than 3 months later, he filed to terminate the deal after accusing Twitter of withholding information about the bot's account on its site. During the week, Twitter sued Musk in the Delaware Court of Chancery, seeking to enforce the deal and writing that Musk refused to honor his obligation to Twitter and its stakeholders because the deal he signed no longer served his personal interests. Many legal experts agree that Musk's argument about bot information does not seem to constitute a strong enough reason to leave the deal, according to the terms of the agreement. Twitter has argued that Musk does not have a good enough reason to abandon the deal and should be forced to buy the company at the price he agreed.
Welcome you to this new ride, a digital ride that takes you into the lifestyle experience of innovation, tech impact, and new business frontiers. This is Digivation Network. On a weekly basis, we keep you well informed of developments and trends. Now the tech ecosystem is impacting politics, business, public and private enterprise management, plus how the new digital life can transform your business. I am Bayero Agabi. Join us.
There you have it for the news. Remember, you can also stay up to date with trending issues on ICT, business, lifestyle, and innovation by visiting our website, www.digivationnetwork.com, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com, Digivation Network, displayed on your screen. Security becomes an important element in protecting our data from external and internal threats, but also when to regulate what digitally stored data can be shared and with whom. In a practical sense, data privacy deals with aspects of the controlled process around sharing data with third parties, how and where that data is stored, and the specific regulation that applies to these processes. Many countries in the world have introduced some form of legislation concerning data privacy in response to the needs of the particular industry or section of the population. At this time, let's listen to the voice and view of Nigerians on data privacy, which should have access to their data between the government and private sector. Enjoy it.
Data privacy, yeah, I think I do.
Data privacy, I think in my own understanding, means that whatever you're sharing across the internet should be private.
Everyone knows what privacy is. Then data privacy should be somewhat exclusively holding people's data confidential. Yeah, so let me put it that way, so to speak. So holding people's information confidential, in confidentiality, so to speak, yeah.
Data privacy, to my own knowledge, is what you data privacy is what you have in stock for yourself, like what you store for yourself for future purposes, what you have in your own self from the from the data from when you were born to this life till when you are matured. Everything about you privately is something about data privacy. I think so.
Data privacy, for me, I can say data privacy is a personal data, is a personal information that belongs to he or she, that should not be given out to anybody unless the person say it should be given out. All right, from you, maybe like when you are on Facebook, your password, maybe when you went to bank, your account number, your BVN, maybe when you are on Instagram, your password, so on and so forth. Data privacy. For me, I can't say. I will say that is all about data privacy.
Nobody. I just think my data should just be sent across to whoever I want to send data to at that moment without any other person being private to it.
Since we are governed by the government, and whatever we do right now, like the banking sector and some other things, the government have access to every other thing. So for me, I think the government should have access to data privacy.
Only the government should be the one to have access to my data, but to some limits, actually. Like if it's my personal details, my data, like personal details, so it's fine to allow government to have access to it. But when it comes to WhatsApp or my personal chats, I don't think anybody should have access to that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel that it should be safer for the government to have our data in their database. But anybody can and anybody should, but with the way the situation of the country, I don't think for the government parastatal, I do not know how much of a data holding platform they have. But for the private sectors, I think they would have done better. But you know, for private organizations, they can close up at any time. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't want to be pessimistic. But the government, if you ask me, the government should be able to do that better.
For me, I will feed the private sector. For me, I'm not okay with me giving my information to the government. But also, the government is okay. It's also important for the information, because something like me going to Google and do my PVC, the government will also have my information, maybe my address, my phone number, and so on and so forth. There are still information, so government can still go on that. But something like bank account, so on and so forth, I don't know with the government. Government is, yes, let me say government is our governor, people that govern us, but I'm not okay with that, me giving my information to the government, better to the private sector.
For the deceased person, I think if the next of kin is active, I think it should be passed to the next of kin. The next of kin to continue from where the deceased person has left from. But it's just some people have opinions and some other believe actually. But for me, I personally think a deceased person that is gone. So it should pass to the next of kin, and next of kin to continue from there.
For developed countries, most of them use more developed countries. most of them use all these information to trace, for reference purposes, to trace history of a person or people. So it's not, it shouldn't be something that should be deleted when the person passes on. I mean, you can always refer to the person's history, maybe by probably having the person's generations to come, maybe the person's grandchildren or great-grandchildren having to trace back their father or their mother's history or something like that. So it shouldn't be deleted rather.
It's not advisable for it to be deleted because the person that passed on, let us remember the person that come this life and go. So Umabi came and go, that's how life is. And we have the record of people that come and go, something like that. I don't believe in deleting it. It's not good to be deleted. So I keep record and I keep story history or something like that. It's more better than deleted.
It should be left in the government system because that is what will make anyone who wants to know about that person know that the person is actually dead and no longer alive. Because if the person's information is being totally deleted, then there's no way to trace that the person is no longer alive. And such person, if anyone else have their information, they can still use the person's information, not knowing that the person is dead. So I think it should be kept to government's system.
I just believe it should be recorded that this person is dead, and then maybe his data, everything about his data just stop at that point where he died.
I've been asking the question like something like maybe me having a personal account now. I did not open to maybe my wife, my husband, or my family member. For me, I would say it's not a good idea. I'm just using this opportunity to say to the whole world or to Nigerians that anything you're keeping information within you, maybe your wife you should know, maybe you have someone that will be trusted, maybe your wife or your mother, or maybe your cousin that is very important to you. Because for me, I'm feeling that maybe when you die, you have a personal account in the bank. I don't know whether the bank can still keep your information or maybe your money, anything. They can link it, they can share it within them. You can't tell. Understand me? So for you, I would say any information that is within you, there should be someone that is very important to you, maybe your wife or your mother or your cousin, your close friend. That will help you to keep that information. Maybe when you die, that person will know things about you, so that maybe can help you with the money for your burial or any other, or give it to your wife or your children. That's just it.
This is AIT Infotech Network, reaching you from Freetown in Sierra Leone, Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, Johannesburg in South Africa. We are in Cairo in Egypt, Tunis, the Tunisian capital, reaching you from Dubai, Hanover in Germany, Las Vegas in the United States of America, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. We are in Beijing, China, in London, England. I am Bayero Agabi. Join us.
Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, this is Digivation Network. History, they say, is written by the victors. History is who we are and why we are the way we are, according to David McCullough. With applause, Digivation was recognized for its contribution in the history of telecommunication development in Nigeria. Also, Climate has its bones and horns, as Eco Innovation Center had a launch to tackle climate issues.
In a bid to mitigate the effect of climate change in recent times, Eco Innovation Center, EIC, in partnership with Generation Unlimited Niger and Eco Carbon and Commodity, launched EkoClimathon 1.0 to engage Nigerian innovators to build global solutions that will help the world meet its climate goals using technology.
For us, Eco Innovation Center, which we founded 3 years plus ago, it's basically our own way of seeing how we can help be part of the solution to the myriad of issues that's affecting not just Nigeria but Africa as a whole. I think if all of us just do a bit and a bit and a bit, not wanting to solve everything in one day, we will see that ultimately we're going to create the kind of change that we desire to see in our environment, inclusiveness.
With extensive effect on agriculture, water industry, health, ocean, forest, and coral reefs, The fastest route to curb and reduce the negative effect is through technology, as world leaders are looking forward to ways to cut emissions to net zero. EkoClimathon is a hackathon program designed to drive tech innovations in climate ecosystem, spearheaded by UNICEF, with the focus on giving the youth the opportunity to be part of the solution, while Access Bank supports for sustainability enlightenment, and along with other organizations who have partnered to drive the mission of making nature safe and profitable for all.
Which aims at crowding in all types of actors, public, private, and youth, with young influencers and actual young people on board of that platform, to align programs, funding, and activities that are aimed at supporting young people transition from any kind of learning to any kind of earning. So we're basically preparing young people for the world of work, whether it is through entrepreneurship, through job placement, and anything that comes before.
The hackathon will focus on 6 main areas: industry challenge, agriculture and food waste, circular economy, transportation challenge, nature-based solutions challenge, and energy. With the expectation of still competition and display of solutions, 10 best ideas will be filtered out to work with 30 international mentors from across the world to improve their ideas to be selected the best, with a cash prize of $7,500 and laptops, up to $50,000 equity investment in EIC's Accelerator program, and the chance to be mentored by industry experts for 3 months. Digivation Network, a lifestyle and business technology program with over 2 decades of ICT media balance reportage under its belt, has been recognized for media excellence as it has contributed to the growth of digital economy in Nigeria.
And that's why in my remarks, I remember with a lot of nostalgic attachment, Mr. Sonny Aragbapore. Aaron Ukodia is the author of this book. I remember Mpe Abang. I remember Sylvester Ebodage, who is, I think, a pastor now. I remember Shino Badaru. I remember my very good friend Bayero Agabi. I remember Don Pedro Aganbi.
Those days. I thought I would see many more of them here today. But they were quite active and did a lot of good work in reporting the industry.
The award was presented by eWorld News Media during the eWorld Forum 2022 award presentation. The recognition, Media Excellence for Quality Content and Enlightenment for the Growth of Nigeria's Digital Economy, is an attestation to the efforts of the medium and its founder, Dr. Bayero Agabi, for his unending dedication to the growth of ICT in Nigeria through his top-notch expertise in reporting development and issues in the country's ICT ecosystem, contributing to the digital prosperity of Nigeria.
The eWorld Special Recognition Award for Media Excellence for Quality Content and Enlightenment for the Growth of Nigeria's Digital Economy is hereby presented to Digivation Network, founded by my very good friend, Dr. Bayero Agabi. Is not here today, but is ably represented by a man. So, Hilary, please, on behalf of eWorld, kindly deliver this to your colleagues at the for the great work that you guys are doing.
At the forum, Mr. Aaron Ukodia, the convener of the event, also unveiled a book that has documentation of the journey of telecoms and ICT development in the country. Under the period reviewed in the book, the efforts of individuals such as Nigeria's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former EVC, Nigerian Communications Commission, and Chairman MTN Nigeria, Engineer Ernest Ndukwe, Engineer Titi Ometu, Dr. Emmanuel Ekwem, and many more exceptional on individuals in the ICT industry, along with ICT media experts who contributed to the narrative and their bold decisions to improve the economy through the development of telecommunications in the country.
Up next, are two cybersecurity experts as guests of the week. They will share with us safety tips to stay safe in the cyberspace and the use of emerging technologies.
Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for being part of Digivation Network. It's a real pleasure to have you here. And we are looking at an issue today, which is cybersecurity. It's an exciting space, it's a new space, but most importantly, it's becoming more and more important for the digital economy space in Nigeria. My question is this, as experts, how much of all these opportunities, innovations, emerging technologies should we actually absorb in order to stay safe in the cyberspace?
Okay, so I don't think there's a clear-cut answer for that. So whether as an organization or an individual, your level of adoption of anything in terms of technological space will depend on your risk threshold, on your risk level, risk acceptance level. So you'd have to do some, it doesn't have to be like formal, especially as an individual. You'd have to do some risk evaluation or management thing. And you know that, okay, I am willing to take this amount of risk. I'm willing to accept this amount of risk. So for example, you have an email address, you know that definitely there's some level of risk attached to that. And if you're okay with that, then go ahead and you adopt that, right? So for me, it's just doing some risk evaluation of whatever technology it is.
Investment in cybersecurity. What is your opinion on how Nigeria is taking investment in cybersecurity, both capacity-wise and infrastructure?
I'm privy to some efforts and a great deal of efforts on the part of the federal government in terms of policies and strategies for the Nigerian cyber security space, if you will. So an example would be the 2021 National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy. I know there's a 2015 Cyber Crime Act.
Yeah.
There's NG-CERT, which is the Nigerian Cybersecurity Emergency Response Team. Incident Response Team, exactly. And I know that to take it further, for the NG-CERT, all institutes or organizations are also supposed to have their own aspect of incident response. I know there's one for NCC. I'm not sure that the one for CBN has actually been actualized, but basically there's a lot of effort from the office of the DSS, the federal government, and I think it's something that's trickling down. And also, obviously, with the working from home culture that we have now, Corona, the pandemic, pointed us or opened our eyes to just some of the risks and threats that exist in the cybersecurity space. So ransomwares are very popular now. Mr. Rock, mentioned earlier as well, the phishing attacks have also gotten more sophisticated. So basically, these cyber threats, cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated. And I know that there are a lot of organizations, banks, startups, parastatals as well. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's trickling down from the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria. So in my own opinion, I think there is a really good amount of investment and exposure in terms of people development, organizational compliance efforts. And I think that is, we're seeing positive impacts of those basically.
For investment in cybersecurity, I would like to categorize it three ways. First, for government, two, for enterprises, three, for individuals. And I would like to say we are doing a lot. First, I'll start with for individuals. Most people now are aware of the vulnerabilities and how exposed they are online. Though we've not gotten there yet, but there's a baseline compliance on, for instance, two-factor authentication. Most people now are not seeing their Instagram, Facebook account hacked, and people actually invest in taking time to understand the implication of having two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication for your Gmail, for your Instagram, for your social media space, for your LinkedIn. You understand, these are all strategic investments from individuals. It means people are more cyber aware. Secondly, for government, we are seeing a lot of standardization, investment in cybersecurity standardization. So for instance, I know CBN, just like what we are still doing incident response for some government websites. It means that we are still vulnerable. We are still seeing hacktivists. You understand? If there's any small riot now, you have seen Alaba people, they are fighting now. Very, very soon now, you see that one government site will go down. So these things are things that they would not stop.
So on organizational level, it will be the adoption of relevant technologies. A lot of organizations just want to buy the most high-end or the most sophisticated technology that actually doesn't do anything to them. And you now see that some of these have backdoors that can actually introduce cyber threats or cyber attacks. So it's an adoption of technologies, but with security mindset. And also, no matter how much or how high your investments are in technology, your people can be your strongest or your weakest chain. So it's in investing in your people, in training them and giving them the necessary support in terms of cybersecurity awareness. And I will leave that for on an individual level. It's as Mr. Rock mentioned, is to ensure that your security, your passwords to everything is not one password. Some people have one password that addresses everything from Instagram to your emails. Use different passwords, right? Make them strong. Also, in terms of multi-factor authentication, don't have just because you want to keep it simple, right? Security can be convenient, but you should also just make conscious effort.
First, I would say what they can do to individuals is to actually localize cybersecurity awareness for individuals, mandate that service providers, internet service providers, telcos, any venture into the business of online service sufficiently be compliant to Nigerian data protection regulation on how they use and abuse Nigerian data. Much work to do in the sense of even provision, subsidizing cybersecurity solutions, promoting local content. We have the brain. I'm always a preacher of looking at our cybersecurity misgivings. We are actually very popular with a lot of cybercrime. Imagine if we harvest this talent and actually translate them for good deeds. You can imagine how we should be ahead of India when it comes to cybersecurity solutions. For organizations, government needs to do more in enabling them to be more cybersecurity compliant, especially as new emerging technologies are being used in most Nigerian businesses.
It's been a great pleasure having you on the show.
Very well said. Thanks for your time. That was Fatima Adelodun and Rock Adotie. They have been able to share that awesome, inspiring fact. That is where we will round it up for today. Till I come your way next week. Always stay informed by subscribing to our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com or Digivation Network, and visiting our website and social media handle displayed on your screen. Please don't forget to join us next time, same time on Digivation Network. On behalf of our regular anchor, Bayer Ragabi, it's a bye for now. My name remains Omoye Ihaza.